Welcome to Starbound Valor HFY. Subscribe now and dive into daily epic sci-fi adventures where humanity always rises. The Galactic Council Chamber was vast and cold, floating above a blue star that burned silently outside the crystal walls. Hundreds of alien delegates sat in curved rows, their strange bodies glowing, breathing, clicking, or humming in their own ways. This council decided the fate of entire star systems. Wars had started here. Civilizations had ended here. And today, the topic was simple. Humanity. The word itself caused low sounds of laughter to spread through the chamber. Not loud laughter, not cruel, but confident. The kind that comes from power. To the great empires of the galaxy, humans were nothing special. They were late. They were small. They were weak. They had only recently reached faster-than-light travel, and even that technology was basic. Their ships were thin. Their weapons outdated. Their territory was small, sitting quietly at the edge of known space like a shadow afraid of light. One by one, alien speakers took the floor. A tall insect-like general spoke first, his voice sharp and proud. He explained how his scouts had crossed human borders without resistance. No fleets. No defenses. Just silence. Another delegate, covered in shining metal skin, claimed humans had only a few shipyards and no true war doctrine. A reptilian emperor laughed openly and said humans were a species that learned how to crawl and thought they could run. Each comment brought more agreement, more mocking, more confidence. In their eyes, humanity was not a threat. Humanity was a mistake waiting to be corrected. At the far end of the chamber sat the human ambassador. He was small compared to the others. No armor. No glowing symbols. Just a simple dark uniform and tired eyes. He did not speak. He did not react. He listened. Some noticed this and took it as fear. Others took it as shame. No one thought it was patience. When the council leader finally addressed him, the chamber quieted. The leader asked why humanity had not responded to border violations. Why they had not protested. Why they had not shown strength. The human stood slowly. He did not raise his voice. He did not argue. He simply said that humanity had no wish for war. That humans believed the galaxy was large enough for everyone. That peace was always better than pride. This answer caused another wave of laughter. Peace, they thought, was what weak species begged for. The council leader dismissed the human and turned back to the others. A vote was proposed. A limited action. One small empire would strike a human outpost as a lesson. Not a war. Just a reminder of the natural order. The vote passed easily. Too easily. The human ambassador did not object. He only paused at the exit and said one sentence, quiet but clear. You should not have looked. No one asked what he meant. Far from the council, beyond known trade routes, deep in dark space, something moved. It had no lights. No signal. No heat trail. To most sensors, it did not exist. It had traveled for years without being seen, hiding between stars, watching. When the council vote was complete, a signal finally reached it. Not a command. Not an order. Just a confirmation. The object changed course slightly. The attacking alien fleet was confident. Their ships were powerful, polished, and loud with energy. They crossed into human space expecting panic. Instead, they found calm. Human stations powered down non-essential systems. Civilian ships moved away in clean, controlled paths. No distress calls. No warnings. The alien commander smiled. This was what surrender looked like. Then, one of his ships stopped responding. No explosion. No debris. It simply went dark. Confused, the commander ordered scans. Nothing appeared. Sensors showed empty space. Another ship went silent. Then another. Still no sign of attack. Fear began as a small, unwelcome feeling. In the council chamber, reports started to arrive. Fragmented. Strange. An entire fleet losing contact one ship at a time. The mocking voices grew quiet. Some suggested electronic failure. Others blamed human tricks. The human ambassador was summoned again, but he did not arrive. He was already gone. At the edge of the battle zone, space itself seemed to bend. A shape slowly appeared, as if reality was remembering something it had forgotten. A massive human warship uncloaked. It was larger than any vessel the galaxy had recorded. Its surface was dark and smooth, marked with no symbols, no flags. It did not rush. It did not threaten. It simply existed. The alien fleet froze. Weapons locked but useless. Communications failed. The warship did not fire. It did not move closer. It just watched. Back at the council, silence filled the chamber. Fear replaced pride. The great empires realized something terrible. This ship had not been built in secret because humans were afraid. It had been hidden because humans were patient. The council leader whispered the question everyone was thinking. How many more? No answer came. But deep in space, far beyond sight, other silent shapes adjusted their paths. Humanity had been mocked. Humanity had been ignored. And now, the galaxy was beginning to understand its fatal mistake. The alien fleet remained frozen in space, drifting like broken machines while the massive human warship watched in complete silence. No weapons fired. No messages sent. The fear was worse because nothing happened. The alien commander tried again and again to restore control, but every system remained locked. Power flowed, but commands did nothing. It was as if the ships no longer belonged to their crews. Then, without warning, control returned. Weapons powered down. Engines responded. The human warship slowly faded, its shape bending until it vanished from sight. No explosion. No chase. Just absence. The alien commander did not feel relief. He felt shame. He ordered an immediate retreat, but before the fleet could turn, a human transmission filled every channel. The voice was calm, human, and clear. Leave. Do not return. No threats followed. The fleet obeyed. News of the encounter spread across the galaxy faster than fear. Reports described a single human ship that disabled an entire fleet without firing a visible weapon. Some called it impossible. Others claimed the story was exaggerated. Powerful empires refused to believe it. They had watched humans for centuries. Weak ships. Slow growth. No signs of such power. The council reconvened, louder and more tense than before. Accusations filled the chamber. The small empire that attacked humanity was blamed for acting too quickly. They defended themselves by saying the council approved the action. The council leader demanded facts. How had humans done this? What technology was used? Why no warning was detected? No one had answers. Meanwhile, within human space, there was no celebration. No announcements. No victory speeches. Human colonies continued daily life as if nothing had happened. Stations repaired minor system strain. Fleets stayed hidden. To the average human, the incident was just another quiet day. Only a few knew the truth. Deep beneath a moon covered in ice, a human command center reviewed data from the encounter. Officers spoke in low voices. The warship had performed within expected limits. No damage. No detection breach. The mission was classified as a success. The commander gave a single order. Maintain silence. Back in alien territory, fear began to change behavior. Border patrols doubled. Sensors were recalibrated. New detection arrays were rushed into service. None of them worked. Human space appeared empty, calm, harmless. This made it worse. One empire secretly sent probes into human systems. Every probe vanished. Another empire tried long-range scans using forbidden energy bursts. The scans returned nothing but noise. Humans were not hiding behind shields. They were simply not there. At least, not where the galaxy could see. The small empire that had attacked humanity now faced consequences. Trade partners withdrew. Allies avoided them. No one wanted to be associated with the species that had angered humans. Their leaders sent apology messages to human diplomatic channels. No reply came. Days passed. Then weeks. Silence became the answer. This silence felt heavier than war. In the council chamber, a new idea formed. If humans would not respond to force or apology, Perhaps pressure would work. Economic pressure. Political pressure. The Council voted to restrict human trade access and navigation rights. It was meant to weaken humanity, to force them to negotiate. The decision passed, but not with confidence. Some delegates hesitated. They remembered the warship. They remembered how helpless they had felt. When the restrictions went live, nothing happened. Human trade did not collapse. Human colonies did not protest. Human ships did not appear. It was as if humans did not need the galaxy at all. This terrified the Council more than any weapon. A species that could survive alone was dangerous. A species that chose to stay silent was worse. Then, a second incident occurred. A pirate fleet, made of mixed alien crews, attacked a neutral system near human space. They expected an easy raid. Halfway through the attack, their ships lost control. The same pattern. No explosions. No visible enemy. Moments later, the pirate fleet vanished from sensors. Not destroyed. Gone. The neutral system was untouched. Survivors later reported seeing a dark shape in space, watching, before fading away. The story spread like fire. The galaxy began to whisper a new name. The Silent Fleet. No one knew if it was real. No one knew how many ships it contained. But fear does not need numbers. Fear grows on imagination. Empires that once mocked humanity now avoided human borders entirely. Even powerful fleets altered their routes to stay far away. In the human command center, analysts watched the galaxy react exactly as predicted. The goal was never conquest. Never dominance. It was distance. Safety. Humanity had learned long ago that showing strength too early invited endless war. So they hid. They waited. They built in silence. The commander looked at a star map filled with faint markers, each one representing a hidden warship. He did not smile. He only said, "Phase 2 begins." Far away, in the council chamber, the leader stared at the empty seat once held by the human ambassador. For the first time in his long life, he understood the truth. Humans had not been weak. They had been careful. And now, the galaxy was no longer laughing. The galaxy had changed its tone, but not its habits. Fear slowed words, not ambition. Powerful empires still believed that anything could be understood, measured, and controlled. Humanity had become a question, and the galaxy demanded an answer. In secret chambers far from the Galactic Council, leaders gathered and made quiet decisions. If humans would not speak, they would be forced to reveal their limits. Not with fleets. Not with threats. With traps. A coalition of 3 major empires agreed on a plan. They would build a deep space monitoring zone along human borders, using the most advanced sensors ever created. Gravity nets. Quantum echoes. Time shift scanners. Technologies once banned for being too dangerous were approved again. The zone would watch everything. Nothing would pass unseen. The galaxy believed that even ghosts left footprints. The construction took months. Massive sensor towers were anchored to dead stars and rogue planets. Energy fields stretched across empty space like invisible webs. When the system activated, technicians celebrated. For the first time, human space was no longer empty. Shapes appeared. Shadows. Movement without form. Data flooded in faster than analysts could read it. Something was there. Something large. Something many. The coalition sent a message to the council. Proof had been found. Humanity was hiding fleets. The mocking did not return, but confidence did. A plan followed quickly. A controlled exposure. They would force one human warship to reveal itself fully, capture its data, and retreat. No battle. No loss. Just knowledge. Knowledge was power. The trap was set near a dying star, where energy storms masked movement. A coalition fleet waited, silent and ready. The moment the sensors detected a human ship crossing the zone, the trap activated. Space twisted. Fields collapsed inward. The hidden warship was dragged into view, its cloak failing under pressure. For the first time, the galaxy saw a human warship clearly and completely. It was massive, larger than any single vessel ever built by the coalition. Its shape was simple, almost brutal, like a moving fortress. No glowing weapons. No bright engines. Just deep black metal that seemed to absorb light. The fleet locked targeting systems, but did not fire. This was observation, not war. The human ship did not resist the trap. It did not try to escape. It allowed itself to be seen. Then, a human transmission opened across all coalition channels. The voice was not angry, not afraid. It sounded almost tired. "You worked very hard to see us," it said. "Now you must listen." The coalition commanders exchanged uneasy looks. This was not the response they expected. The human ship began to release data. Star maps, energy readings, historical records. The flood was overwhelming. Analysts struggled to keep up. The data showed human ships moving through regions thought impassable, surviving supernova paths, using stars as shields, hiding within gravity wells that crushed normal vessels. Humanity had turned the galaxy itself into camouflage. The voice continued. It explained that the revealed ship was not a battleship. It was a scout, an observer. Its purpose was not to fight, but to watch and warn. The coalition laughed nervously at this claim. A ship of that size, a scout. It seemed like another human trick. Then the human ship transmitted a single image. A star map filled with markers. Thousands of them. Each one a human warship. Spread across the galaxy. Not in fleets. Not in formation. Alone. Hidden. Waiting. The silence that followed was heavy and complete. The trap fields suddenly shut down. Not by coalition command. The human ship took control without resistance. Coalition systems went dark, one by one. Weapons powered down. Engines froze. The human ship did not attack. It simply remained. Present. Unmovable. "You wanted limits," the voice said. "These are them." Without warning, the human ship reactivated its cloak. It faded from sight even within the sensor zone. The coalition fleet was released, their systems slowly returning. No damage. No losses. Just fear. Back at the council, the coalition leaders delivered their report. There was no argument. No debate. Only understanding. Humanity had not been hiding out of weakness. They had been hiding to protect something fragile. Not themselves. Others. The galaxy. In a distant human facility, commanders reviewed the encounter. Phase 2 was complete. Humanity had been seen, but on human terms. The galaxy now knew there were many ships, but it did not know where they were, or when they would act. The human ambassador returned to the Galactic Council chamber days later. He stood where he once had, small and calm. This time, no one laughed. No one mocked. He spoke one sentence. "You have seen one warship." He paused, letting the silence grow. "Please do not ask to see the rest." The warning should have ended everything, but fear does not always bring wisdom. For some empires, it brought desperation. Power that could not be challenged had to be tested one last time. Quietly, without council approval, a hardline faction within the coalition planned a final measure. They believed humans were bluffing, that the revealed warship and the data flood were part of a psychological game. If humanity truly had thousands of ships, they would have acted already. This belief spread among generals who had ruled through force for centuries. They prepared a strike not against a fleet, but against a symbol. The target was a human listening post hidden inside an asteroid field near a red dwarf star. It was small, lightly staffed, designed to observe, not defend. The faction believed destroying it would force humans to react openly. They assembled a precision fleet, fast and heavily armed, and moved in silence. No public orders. No declarations. The attack began with speed and confidence. Human sensors detected the fleet long before it arrived. The listening post powered down and transmitted a single signal before going dark. No distress call. No plea. Just confirmation. The attacking fleet entered the asteroid field, weapons charged, expecting resistance. None came. The listening post did not fire. It did not flee. It waited. Then, space shifted. Not violently. Gently. Like a breath being taken. The attackers felt it before they saw it. A pressure. A wrongness. One by one, their instruments failed to agree with reality. Distances changed. Asteroids appeared where none had been. Paths bent. The fleet slowed without command. Panic spread through disciplined ranks. This was not a human weapon they recognized. A single human warship uncloaked between the asteroids. It was different from the Scout revealed before. Smaller, but denser. Its surface carried scars, marks of long service. This ship did not broadcast. It did not explain. It moved. The first strike came without light or sound. One attacking cruiser simply split along its centerline, cut by an invisible force. No explosion. No debris cloud. Just two silent halves drifting apart. The human ship did not pause. It adjusted position with impossible precision. Another cruiser lost all power and slammed into an asteroid. A third vanished entirely, leaving behind empty space where it had been. The attackers fired back in desperation. Energy beams and missiles filled the field. None reached the human ship. Some curved away. Others passed through empty space as the ship shifted position faster than thought. The human warship was not dodging. It was choosing where it existed. In moments, the precision fleet was broken. Not destroyed. Disabled. Trapped. Survivors floated helplessly, their ships intact but dead. Only then did the human warship speak. The voice was cold, not angry. This post was not defended because it did not need to be, it said. You have now learned why. The ship transmitted a message to the attackers and to every listening sensor in the region. A record of the engagement. Clear. Unedited. No exaggeration. Then the human warship powered down its weapons and remained still, guarding the silent listening post. The galaxy reacted in shock. This was different from before. This was not a warning. This was enforcement. Empires scrambled to distance themselves from the faction responsible. Public denials flooded the council. Accusations followed. No one wanted blame. The hardline faction's leaders attempted to flee their home system. Their ships never left orbit. Human vessels appeared without uncloaking, their presence known only by the sudden stillness of space. The leaders were taken. Not killed. Taken. Their disappearance sent a message stronger than any broadcast. Within human command, there was no celebration. The commanders reviewed the footage in silence. A line had been crossed. Humanity had responded. Not loudly. Not cruelly. Precisely. The decision was recorded as unavoidable. Necessary. The human ambassador addressed the Galactic Council once more. His voice carried through the chamber, calm and firm. He explained that humanity would not seek territory, would not demand tribute, would not rule. But attacks on human lives or infrastructure would be answered. Always. Immediately. He ended with a simple statement. You wanted to know what happens when a human warship fights, he said. Now you know. Across the galaxy, fleets powered down weapons near human space. Trade routes shifted. Old doctrines were rewritten overnight. For the first time in recorded history, the great empires adjusted their behavior not because of defeat, but because of understanding. Humanity had not ended everything with one warship. They had ended the idea that they could be tested. The galaxy did not sleep after the enforcement. It watched. Every empire reviewed the recordings again and again, slowing each moment, searching for weakness, for limits, for something that could be understood. None were found. The human warship did not move like a machine. It did not fight like a fleet. It acted with purpose, precision, and restraint. That restraint frightened the galaxy more than destruction ever could. Power that chose not to destroy was power that did not need to prove itself. In the Galactic Council chamber, the mood had shifted from fear to unease. Emergency sessions became daily routine. The great empires no longer argued loudly. They whispered. Some demanded a united defense against humanity. Others warned that such talk would only invite disaster. The council leader struggled to maintain order as centuries of galactic balance crumbled. Humanity had not attacked the galaxy, yet everything had changed. A proposal emerged from one of the oldest empires. A diplomatic approach. Not an alliance. Not a threat. A request for understanding. They suggested inviting humans to explain their intentions, their history, their goals. Many delegates opposed it. They feared hearing the truth. But in the end, fear of ignorance outweighed fear of answers. The invitation was sent. The human response came quickly. Too quickly. A single line. We will attend. No conditions. No demands. The council chamber prepared for the meeting with more caution than any war council in history. Security was increased. Sensors were tuned to maximum sensitivity. Hidden weapons were armed. No one trusted calm anymore. When the human delegation arrived, there was no fleet. No escort. A single small diplomatic vessel docked with the council station. From it emerged 3 humans. No armor. No weapons. Just simple uniforms. Their calm unsettled everyone more than 1,000 warships could have. The human spokesperson began to speak. He did not threaten. He did not boast. He told a story. He spoke of early human history, of constant conflict, of learning that survival did not come from strength alone, but from preparation. He explained that humanity had faced extinction more times than the galaxy could imagine. Asteroids. Plagues. Wars of their own making. Each time, they survived by planning for the worst and hoping for nothing. He explained that when humans reached the stars, they saw a galaxy full of power and pride. They chose not to compete openly. They chose to hide, to observe, to learn. They built warships not for conquest, but for deterrence. To ensure no one would ever again decide humanity was expendable. The council listened in silence. This was not the story they expected. There was no claim of destiny. No demand for respect. Just explanation. Then the humans showed them something new. A projection of human space. It was small. Fragile. Filled with life. Billions of civilians who had no idea how close they had come to war. The warships existed for them. Not for the galaxy. The spokesperson ended his presentation with a warning. Come. Clear. We do not wish to rule. We do not wish to destroy. But we will protect ourselves. And we will protect those near us if forced. The council leader asked the question everyone feared. What happens if someone attacks you again? The human answered without hesitation. Then there will be no warning. The meaning was clear. What the galaxy had seen so far was restraint. A gift. After the meeting, reactions varied. Some empires felt relief. Others felt smaller than they ever had. Trade delegations quietly approached human channels. Scientific exchanges were proposed. Military plans against humanity were erased. The galaxy began to adapt. In human command, the assessment was cautious. The diplomatic phase had begun, but trust was not assumed. Warships remained hidden. Patrols continued. Humanity had learned its lesson long ago. Hope was never a strategy. Far beyond the Council's reach, a human warship drifted near an uncharted system. Its sensors detected unusual energy signatures. Not human. Not known alien. The ship did not investigate. It recorded. It reported. Humanity had revealed itself to the galaxy, but the universe was still full of unknowns. Back in the council chamber, the leader stared at the empty space where mockery once lived. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had forced it to grow up. The age of careless power was ending. And everyone knew it. The galaxy entered a quiet phase, but it was not peace. It was adjustment. Old empires that once expanded without thought now moved carefully, checking every decision twice. Patrol routes were shortened. Weapons drills were reduced near human space. The presence of humanity had become an invisible line no one wished to cross. Yet beneath this caution, curiosity grew. The council had heard the human story, but many believed there was more. Power on that scale was never born from fear alone. Something deeper drove it. Within human territory, life continued as it always had. Cities worked. Children studied. Ships traded between colonies. To most humans, the galaxy's fear was distant and abstract. They trusted their leaders, just as they always had. But inside secure command centers, analysts watched the stars constantly. Humanity had revealed a fraction of its strength, and already the galaxy was shifting. History taught them that such shifts never lasted. A new development soon tested that belief. A border world near human space sent a distress signal to the Council. The system was under attack, not by a known empire, but by an unknown force. Ships of strange design, using weapons that bent energy in unfamiliar ways. The defenders were overwhelmed. Calls for help echoed across Council channels. No one responded. Fleets hesitated. No empire wanted to move forces so close to human space without knowing how humans would react. Fear had paralyzed the galaxy. The distress signal reached human sensors as well. In command, silence followed the report. The system was not human, not allied, but it was close. Too close. If the attackers succeeded, they would learn that borders meant nothing. That lesson could not be allowed. A decision was made without debate. A single warship was dispatched. Not the scout. Not the enforcer. Something older. Something rarely used. The warship arrived unseen. The attackers never detected it. Human sensors observed quietly, analyzing the unknown fleet. Their ships were aggressive, poorly coordinated, driven by hunger rather than strategy. Raiders. They harvested resources and moved on. They did not expect resistance. The human warship did not attack immediately. It broadcast a message to the raiders alone. Leave this system. The response was laughter, distorted and sharp. The raiders increased their assault. The response was instant. Space around the raider fleet collapsed inward. Not violently. Precisely. Their ships were pulled together, locked in place by forces they could not counter. Weapons failed. Engines screamed and died. The human warship appeared at last, uncloaking in full view. Its presence crushed morale. This time, the warship did not disable and leave. It destroyed. One by one, raider ships were torn apart, reduced to particles, erased so completely that no wreckage remained. It was efficient, cold, necessary. The attack ended in minutes. The human warship transmitted a final message to the system's defenders. Threat removed. Then it vanished. The Council received full recordings soon after. The reaction was immediate and intense. This was not enforcement. This was protection. Humanity had defended a system that was not its own. The implications were vast. Some empires felt relief. Others felt fear deepen. If humans chose who to protect, then power had truly shifted. Emergency meetings followed. Some delegates argued humanity was positioning itself as guardian of the galaxy. Others argued humans were simply preventing chaos near their borders. The truth lay somewhere between. Humanity had acted not for praise, but for stability. They knew that uncontrolled threats always grew. In human command, the action was reviewed carefully. The use of force was justified. The unknown raiders were marked as an emerging threat. Surveillance priorities were updated. Humanity had stepped into a role it never wanted, but could not avoid. Silence alone could no longer protect everything. The human ambassador addressed the Council again, briefly. He explained the action in simple terms. "We removed a danger," he said. Nothing more. When asked if humanity would continue such actions, he answered honestly. If a threat grows close enough, yes. The galaxy understood the message. Humanity was not seeking control, but it would not allow instability to spread unchecked. This was not empire. This was responsibility. Far beyond known space, the unknown raider signal had been heard. Others like them existed. They noticed the sudden loss of a fleet. They noticed the energy pattern left behind. Something powerful had acted. Something that did not claim territory or demand tribute. Curiosity stirred in the dark. Back among the stars of human space, warships remained hidden, but alert. Humanity had taken another step forward, not toward domination, but toward inevitability. The galaxy was learning a new truth. When humanity moved, it was never without reason. And when it acted, it did not hesitate. The destruction of the raider fleet did not bring celebration to the galaxy, only questions. Humanity had crossed another invisible line. They had not just defended themselves. They had chosen to act for others. For many empires, this was more unsettling than any act of war. Power that protected could also judge. And judgment, even when fair, frightened those who had ruled without it. In the Galactic Council chamber, debates grew sharper. Some delegates argued that humanity was becoming a stabilizing force, a shield against chaos. Others warned that no species should hold such authority without oversight. Yet no one could suggest a way to challenge humans without risking annihilation. The Council was trapped between fear and necessity. To understand humanity, the Council requested deeper access to human history. This time, the request was granted. A controlled archive was opened. What the galaxy learned was uncomfortable. Human history was not a story of dominance. It was a story of survival. Records showed early humans fighting each other endlessly over land, belief, and pride. Entire nations collapsed. Billions died. Again and again, humanity stood at the edge of extinction, not from aliens, but from itself. Each time they rebuilt. Smarter. More cautious. Less trusting of easy peace. The archives revealed why humans feared open power. Every time they had shown strength too early in their own past, it had invited challenge. Rivals grew faster. Conflicts multiplied. So when humans reached the stars, they remembered. They chose patience over pride. They hid, not because they were weak, but because they had learned what strength attracted. The Council also learned about the Silent Fleet. It had not been built quickly. It was the result of centuries of quiet effort. Each warship was designed to operate alone, to survive without support, to think independently. Artificial intelligence guided them, but always under human control. Humans had learned another lesson from their past. Never surrender decision-making entirely. Machines could assist. They could calculate. But the final choice was always human. This balance explained the warship's behavior. They did not seek destruction. They sought resolution. Disable when possible. Destroy only when necessary. This was not mercy. It was discipline. The archives ended with a warning. Humanity had never trusted a single point of failure. Not in government. Not in defense. Not in survival. That was why there was no central fleet. No capital shipyard. No command that could be decapitated. Humanity could not be ended with one strike. Or 100. As this knowledge spread, the galaxy's fear slowly transformed into respect. Not admiration. Respect born of understanding. Humanity was dangerous not because it wanted to be, but because it had learned to be. Within human space, the release of the archives caused debate of its own. Some argued that revealing their past weakened them. Others believed transparency would prevent misunderstanding. The decision had been made carefully. Humanity knew secrecy had limits. Truth, controlled and clear, could be a stronger shield. The human ambassador addressed the Council one final time on the subject. He spoke of responsibility, of restraint, of the burden of power. "We do not claim moral superiority," he said. "We claim experience." The chamber listened in silence. Beyond the Council, the galaxy continued to change. Border systems, once ignored, now felt safer. Trade routes reopened. Small species dared to travel without heavy escorts. Humanity's presence, distant and silent, reshaped behavior without issuing commands. Yet not everyone was comforted. In the shadows beyond mapped space, observers watched humanity's actions closely. They studied the destruction of the raiders. They analyzed the discipline of the warships. This was not the behavior of conquerors. It was something older. Something patient. In a hidden human facility, analysts reviewed unfamiliar signals detected during the raider engagement. Patterns that did not match known species. Someone had been watching the watchers. Humanity took note. The galaxy believed it was finally beginning to understand humans. It was wrong. It understood their past, not their future. Humanity had revealed why it had hidden, not what it would do when truly challenged. The Galactic Council chamber had become a place of quiet tension. The great empires who once laughed at humanity now spoke in hushed tones. The revelation of humanity's history and the demonstration of their power had shifted the balance of respect and fear. No one wanted to be the first to challenge the silent force that had patiently grown in the shadows. Yet, the need for alliances and stability remained. The Council faced a new dilemma: how to deal with humanity not as an enemy or a threat, but as a necessary power. Some empires began sending envoys to human space, seeking dialogue and understanding. These missions were cautious and formal. Humans received them without fanfare or grand displays. The message was clear: humanity did not seek empire, but it demanded respect. Trust was a slow and fragile process. Within human space, the leadership debated these new diplomatic efforts. Many felt it was time to build bridges, to create networks that could prevent future conflicts. Others warned against too much openness. The lessons of history were clear: trust given too freely could lead to disaster. A balance was needed. Meanwhile, the galaxy outside human space was restless. Some empires quietly increased their military readiness. They could not forget the ease with which humanity had disabled entire fleets. Others pursued trade agreements and scientific exchanges, hoping to learn and adapt. The galaxy was not united in approach, but it was united in recognition. Humanity was now a central force in galactic affairs. During one council session, an unexpected proposal emerged. An empire suggested forming a joint galactic patrol, with human participation, to monitor unknown threats and protect trade routes. The idea was met with mixed reactions. Some saw it as a positive step towards peace. Others feared it gave humanity too much influence. The human ambassador responded with cautious optimism. He stated that humanity was willing to cooperate but would never compromise its sovereignty or values. Cooperation meant mutual respect, not submission. The Council accepted this stance but remained wary. In human command centers, preparations began for joint patrols. Ships were assigned, crews trained in coordination with alien counterparts. The process was slow and careful. Humans maintained control over their vessels but shared information openly. This was a new era of interaction. Amidst these diplomatic efforts, a new threat emerged. Deep in unexplored space, strange signals were detected. Unlike the raiders before, these signals suggested advanced technology and organized fleets. The galaxy watched anxiously. Human sensors were the first to confirm the presence of this new force. Unlike previous encounters, humans did not respond immediately with force. Instead, they gathered intelligence, seeking to understand the nature and intentions of the newcomers. This approach frustrated some allies who expected swift action. The human ambassador addressed the Council, explaining the need for caution and knowledge. He emphasized that rushing to conflict could bring destruction to all. Patience was again the chosen strategy. As information about the new threat spread, alliances within the galaxy shifted. Some empires moved closer to humanity, hoping to gain protection or insight. Others prepared for war, unwilling to wait. The balance of power was once again uncertain. Back in human space, warships stood ready but silent. The lessons of the past guided every decision. Humanity knew that strength alone was not enough. Wisdom, restraint, and patience were their greatest weapons. The galaxy had entered a new chapter. Humanity was no longer the mockery or the mystery. It was a force to be reckoned with. The empires had learned that the fatal mistake was underestimating humans. Now, the question remained, what would humanity do next? The galaxy was restless once more. The arrival of the new unknown force had shaken even the most confident empires. Whispers of their fleets, strange designs, and unfamiliar weapons spread through council chambers and trading hubs alike. The question on every mind was simple but terrifying: how many of these forces existed? The galaxy watched, waited, and prepared for what might come next. Yet the true shock came from an unexpected source. It began with a signal, faint and almost lost in the background noise of space. At first, human sensors detected it as an anomaly. Then it repeated. And again. Across multiple systems, signals like it appeared, subtle but unmistakable. These signals bore the unique signature of human technology but were not coming from known human fleets. Confusion spread among analysts. The signals formed a pattern, a slow, deliberate communication that crossed vast distances. Scientists and strategists within Human Command realized that these were transmissions from multiple human warships, cloaked, scattered, and operating independently. It was the silent fleet making itself known, not through attack, but through presence. The galaxy soon felt the impact. Alien fleets on patrol began to detect disturbances in space. Ships reported glimpses of dark shadows slipping through sensor nets. Some tried to engage but found only empty space. The silent fleet was not a single force but many ships acting alone, unpredictable and elusive. Panic gripped some empires. The idea that thousands of warships could be hiding, waiting, and moving silently among the stars was unimaginable. Military commanders urged the Council to declare open war on humanity, fearing what might happen if the silent fleet decided to act. Yet the Council hesitated. The human ambassador reminded them of the lessons learned, the restraint, the discipline, and the warnings. Humanity had shown power but chose silence. Open war risked triggering the very destruction everyone feared. Meanwhile, the silent fleet continued its quiet patrols. Ships appeared in strategic locations, never attacking but always observing. They seemed to gather data, monitor movements, and maintain an invisible presence that kept the galaxy in check. The fleet's existence was a constant reminder that humanity was always watching. Some alien leaders began to change their strategies. Instead of building massive fleets, they focused on stealth and speed, trying to avoid detection by the silent fleet. Trade routes shifted again, favoring safer but longer paths. The galaxy adapted as it had before, but this time with more caution. Within Human Command, the management of the silent fleet was meticulous. Each warship was assigned specific sectors and given autonomy to act within strict protocols. Artificial intelligence aided the ships, but final decisions remained with human commanders. The balance between control and independence was delicate but necessary. The human ambassador spoke to the Council once more, explaining the purpose of the silent fleet. It was not a tool of conquest but a shield against chaos. The fleet's presence prevented war before it could start. It ensured that no empire could rise unchecked. Despite this, fear remained. The silent fleet was a power unlike any before, a force that could not be confronted directly. The galaxy's old tactics no longer applied. The uncertainty bred tension. Beyond the Council, in hidden corners of space, unknown observers took note of the silent fleet. Some saw opportunity. Others saw threat. The balance of power had shifted irrevocably, and the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had moved from the shadows to a silent dominance. The question lingered in every star system. What would the silent fleet do next? Would it protect, punish, or remain hidden forever? The answer remained a mystery, waiting in the dark between the stars. The galaxy's tension thickened as the silent fleet continued its unyielding watch. Unlike previous conflicts where fleets clashed openly, this was a war of shadows and silence. No battles declared, no fleets amassed openly. Instead, a quiet balance was maintained by fear and uncertainty. Empires now navigated space carefully, knowing that a single misstep could invite the wrath of ships that never announced their presence until it was too late. The silent fleet did not seek glory. It sought order, and it enforced it with ruthless efficiency. Within the Galactic Council, debates persisted but had taken on a new tone. The recognition of humanity as a force with unmatched discipline and resolve had changed diplomacy forever. Empires that once competed for dominance now reconsidered their ambitions. Some even proposed new treaties focused on peace and cooperation, hoping to avoid provoking the silent fleet's intervention. Yet distrust lingered beneath every agreement. The human ambassador continued to serve as a bridge between humanity and the wider galaxy. He spoke often of restraint and responsibility, reminding others that humanity's power came with a duty to protect, not to conquer. But behind his calm words was the reality of a civilization hardened by centuries of survival. Humanity had built its power not just with technology, but with experience that made hesitation a luxury they could not afford. Beyond council chambers, intelligence agencies on every world scrambled to learn more about the silent fleet. Despite its elusive nature, patterns began to emerge. The fleet operated with calculated precision, focusing on systems where conflict or piracy threatened stability. It disabled aggressors without collateral damage, leaving no trace except for a warning. In some cases, Entire fleets surrendered upon detecting the presence of a single human warship. Meanwhile, human command refined the protocols of the silent fleet. Ships operated under strict rules of engagement, emphasizing disabling rather than destruction. It was a deliberate choice, sending a message that humanity did not crave bloodshed but would respond decisively to threats. Warships were equipped with advanced cloaking and electronic warfare systems, making detection nearly impossible. The galaxy adapted in response. Some empires invested heavily in stealth technologies, attempting to match the silent fleet's abilities. Others sought alliances to pool resources and intelligence, hoping to counterbalance humanity's silent dominance. Trade routes shifted to avoid known patrol zones, and diplomatic envoys carried more caution than ever before. In a remote sector near the edge of known space, a small colony became the center of attention when it reported a mysterious disappearance of an entire fleet. Sensors showed the fleet had entered the system but never left. No distress signals, no battle signatures, only silence. The Council sent investigators, but they found nothing. The only clue was a fleeting sensor reading of a human warship that vanished before confirmation. This incident reinforced the silent fleet's reputation. It was a force that did not fight openly but erased threats with surgical precision. It reminded the galaxy that power no longer belonged to those who showed it loudly, but to those who wielded it invisibly. Within human society, the silent fleet's success was a point of quiet pride and deep responsibility. Leaders knew that every action sent ripples across the galaxy. They understood that restraint was not weakness but strength. The cost of failure was unthinkable. The human ambassador, sensing the shifting tides, proposed a new initiative at the Council. A galactic forum for crisis response, where empires could share information and coordinate against threats without escalating tensions. The proposal was met with cautious approval. It was a chance to build trust, but also a reminder that vigilance was necessary. As the galaxy cautiously embraced this new era of cooperation, the silent fleet continued its watch, a ghostly presence ensuring that peace was maintained through power unseen. Humanity had changed the rules of engagement forever. The great empires had learned that sometimes silence was the deadliest weapon of all. And so, the question lingered in every corner of space. How long would this fragile balance hold? How long before the silent fleet would be called upon to act again? The answer waited silently, hidden among the stars. The fragile balance the silent fleet maintained stretched across the galaxy like an unseen web, fragile yet unbreakable. Empires learned to respect the silence, to tread carefully around the invisible boundaries humanity had drawn. Every alliance, every trade negotiation, every fleet movement carried the weight of potential consequences. The galaxy had changed. Power was no longer measured by firepower alone, but by the quiet control wielded from the shadows. In council chambers, discussions turned from suspicion to cautious cooperation. Some delegates argued that the silent fleet represented a new hope for galactic stability. Others warned that relying too heavily on one species' control risked loss of freedom for all. The debate was complex, balancing security with sovereignty. The Council struggled to find a path forward that acknowledged humanity's strength without surrendering independence. Human diplomats continued to build bridges carefully. Each meeting was measured, each word chosen with care. Humanity made clear it did not seek empire or domination. Instead, it sought mutual respect and peace through deterrence. Behind the scenes, however, human leaders prepared for all outcomes. They knew that diplomacy was only one weapon in a larger arsenal. The silent fleet itself operated with quiet efficiency. Ships moved unseen, disabling threats before they grew. Pirates, rogue factions, and even small empires found their plans undone by a single warship appearing without warning. The fleet's presence shaped the behavior of many, preventing conflicts before they ignited. This invisible peace was uneasy but effective. Technology evolved rapidly across the galaxy as species sought to counter the silent fleet's advantages. Stealth drives, sensor scramblers, and advanced AI were developed to avoid detection. But humanity remained one step ahead, constantly adapting. The arms race was no longer about sheer numbers but about precision, speed, and intelligence. Within human space, the weight of responsibility was heavy. Commanders knew that each deployment of a silent fleet ship carried consequences beyond immediate mission goals. Political and diplomatic ripples spread quickly. Trust was hard-earned and easily lost. The human ambassador worked tirelessly to maintain open channels, easing fears where possible. An unexpected crisis tested this delicate balance when a distant system near the galactic core faced invasion by an aggressive alien coalition. The defenders, a mix of smaller species, called desperately for aid. The Council debated intervention but hesitated, wary of escalating conflict near human space. The situation grew dire. Human command made a decisive choice. Without public announcement, a silent fleet warship was dispatched to the threatened system. It arrived quietly, disabling invading forces with swift precision. The defenders were saved before the Council could vote on formal intervention. This act shocked the galaxy. Humanity had crossed an unspoken line, acting beyond its borders to protect others without asking permission. Reactions were mixed. Some praised the protection. Others feared it signaled humanity's growing influence and willingness to enforce its will. The human ambassador addressed the Council, explaining the decision as a moral obligation. "Injustice anywhere threatens us all," he said. "We cannot stand idle." His words resonated with some, but others remained skeptical. The question lingered: what defined humanity's limits? The incident spurred new debates about galactic governance and the role of powerful species in maintaining order. Calls for clearer protocols and cooperation grew louder. Humanity offered to lead efforts to establish a code of conduct for crisis response. The proposal was cautiously welcomed, signaling a potential shift toward unity. Yet beneath the surface, fears persisted. Some empires secretly bolstered their fleets, prepared for a future where diplomacy failed. The silent fleet remained a powerful deterrent but also a source of unease. The galaxy had learned that peace enforced by silence was fragile. Inside human command, the focus remained on vigilance. Analysts monitored every signal, every movement. They studied the political currents shaping the galaxy, aware that change was inevitable. Humanity had gained power, but with it came the burden of choice. The galaxy watched as humanity stepped forward not as conquerors but as guardians, willing to protect but ready to fight if necessary. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: the fatal mistake of underestimating humanity would never happen again. And so, the silent fleet sailed on, unseen and unchallenged, a shadow that kept the stars in uneasy balance, waiting for the next moment when silence would break and action would be unavoidable. The galaxy had entered an age defined not by open warfare but by subtle tension and silent power. Humanity's presence loomed large, an unseen force shaping events without overt command. The silent fleet had become the ultimate deterrent, its ships striking swiftly and disappearing before any retaliation could be organized. This new reality unsettled empires accustomed to bold declarations and visible strength. Now, power was measured in patience, precision, and invisibility. The Galactic Council, once a place of fiery debates and shifting alliances, had transformed into a forum of cautious diplomacy. Representatives spoke carefully, aware that any rash words might trigger unseen consequences. The human ambassador had become one of the most respected voices, advocating restraint and responsibility. His calm demeanor masked the deep vigilance humanity maintained behind the scenes. In human command centers, the burden of guardianship weighed heavily. The silent fleet was not merely a military tool but a symbol of humanity's resolve. Each warship was a testament to centuries of survival and adaptation. The commanders understood that every mission was a message, of warning, of protection, or of final consequence. They operated with discipline born from history's harsh lessons. Despite this, humanity did not seek empire or domination. Trade and cultural exchanges began to flourish cautiously. Alien species once fearful now tentatively engaged with human worlds, seeking knowledge and cooperation. The barriers of suspicion slowly lowered, replaced by a wary hope for peace. Yet shadows remained. In the far reaches of unexplored space, strange signals hinted at threats beyond current understanding. Humanity's sensors detected movements that did not match any known patterns. Commanders prepared for encounters that might challenge even the silent fleet's capabilities. The universe remained vast and unpredictable. Within the Council, discussions about galactic security grew more complex. Proposals for joint defense initiatives, intelligence sharing, and conflict prevention forums took shape. Humanity offered leadership but insisted on respect for sovereignty and mutual benefit. This stance earned both admiration and skepticism. Some empires pushed back quietly, unwilling to accept a future shaped so heavily by one species. They invested in secret programs, developing weapons and technologies designed to counter the silent fleet's advantages. A new arms race simmered beneath the surface, threatening to unravel the fragile peace. The human ambassador worked tirelessly to ease tensions. He emphasized that humanity's power was a shield, not a sword. Yet he warned that continued aggression would force responses measured not in warnings but in action. The message was clear: restraint required respect. Amidst these political currents, humanity's internal debates continued. Some voices urged greater openness and cooperation. Others cautioned that revealing too much risked exposing vulnerabilities. The balance between secrecy and diplomacy was delicate and constantly shifting. The Silent Fleet remained humanity's ultimate safeguard. Its warships patrolled the edges of known space, silent guardians watching for threats before they could grow. Their presence was a constant reminder that humanity's power was not to be challenged lightly. As the galaxy evolved, old rivalries adapted to new realities. Empires learned to navigate the shadows cast by humanity's watchful eyes. Peace was uneasy but enduring. The lessons of past conflicts were etched deeply into every decision. Humanity had emerged from the darkness of its own history to become a force of quiet strength. The galaxy had been forced to recognize that the fatal mistake was never underestimating the unknown, especially when it chose silence over noise. And so, the story of humanity's rise continued, not with the roar of battle but with the whisper of shadows, a testament to survival, restraint, and power beyond sight. The stars held their breath, waiting for what would come next in this silent age.